And it goes on from there. And quoting, you know, one congressman is saying the whole thing was rigged. In other words, it was rigged to exonerate her and not have equal justice under the law. Explain.
Yeah, you're exactly right. These members of Congress, they got a briefing just before the holidays, and this it was a cannon load of new information to them. And I think one of the most interesting things, let's just take it and put it in context of Russia. If Bob Mueller had exonerated Donald Trump before he had interviewed 17 key witnesses, there'd be an outrage in Washington, right? If Bob Mueller had learned that a key witness had destroyed evidence that was under subpoena, then lied about it to conceal the fact that he destroyed it, and instead of prosecuting that person, they gave them immunity, we'd be outraged in Washington. That's what happened in this case. Lawmakers who got this briefing from Deputy Director McCabe on the 21st of December were just floored by the level of criminality and concern the FBI had in the outcome. If you read the statement from Comey, you swear they were exonerating her. These lawmakers felt like the FBI had plenty of evidence to prosecute her.
Yeah, all right, let me go to Sarah. You've been all over this story as well. This confirms, you know, this new narrative that, oh, conservatives don't like the FBI, law enforcement, the intel community. No, we don't like if you're rigging the criminal justice system for political purposes to help one candidate over another. Isn't that what this is about?
Sean, it's not just the congressional members that were surprised by this. Look, the FBI themselves, FBI agents, field agents who are working on these cases, not the people on the 7th floor, not McCabe, not Comey, not Gaddis, all these guys on the 7th floor that were in control of this investigation, but the people that were on the ground collecting the information we're just as angry. We're just as angry as these congressional members were at learning this information that John reported. We know there's so much more out there. We know that there's concern that McCabe may have obstructed justice. We're seeing this now and slowly trickling out in some of these reports. We don't know if that's completely true yet or not. I'm sure we're going to hear more information from the Inspector General, but there was concern within the FBI. So this is not about bad-mouthing the FBI. This is about the FBI cleansing itself, and this is what FBI agents want to do, both retired and members who are still working there.
What about Fusion GPS, Peter Schweizer? And I know there's a New York Times op-ed by the Fusion GPS guy. I don't believe 90% of it myself. And that is, you know, he's trying to, oh, Republicans hired us first. But Christopher Steele wasn't on the case with Trump-Russia collusion. And he's basically trying to justify, well, we didn't pay money. Well, we don't know who paid what money. Well, they looked at our bank accounts. Well, what do we know about Christopher Steele's bank accounts? What do we know? Why did Hillary pay for what we now know are salacious lies and propaganda from Russian sources? That seems to be the bigger story that they don't want to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, Sean, one of the things that strikes me with the Trump dossier, but also with the great reporting that John came out with today, is how in these cases the FBI leadership basically went against their own procedures. In the case of the Steele dossier or in the case of the Clinton email investigation. Let's remember, the FBI was founded in 1908 by the Attorney General under Teddy Roosevelt precisely because the belief was a lot of investigative work was corrupt at the local level in big cities, et cetera. So they set up a series of procedures, and those procedures basically let field offices do the legwork, and the Washington headquarters would sort of stay away. Well, as John points out in the case of the Clinton email investigation, it was centrally controlled by leadership. So to get back to your point,
well, he talks
the
about
problem
that.
is not criticism of the FBI. It's how the leadership violated their own procedures when investigating these very sensitive matters.
And John, you referred to that in your piece as special. So here's where we still have surveillance, unmasking, leaking raw intelligence. We still have the dossier, which was Russian paid, we believe, paid for lies. Hillary paid for the dossier. We have the uranium one, which we know Jeff Sessions hasn't recused himself from. And you got Comey colluding with Strzok to put the fix in this particular case that we're discussing. Then you got Bruce Orr. And you got Bruce Orr. He met with Fusion GPS. His wife worked for Fusion GPS on Trump, you know, on that dossier, we believe. Then we got Mueller's corrupt team. 2018 prediction, John Solomon.
I think the Clinton Foundation story is going to come back in a big way. The groundwork that Peter did a few years ago with the New York Times and in his book, I think there's a serious effort to go back and look at what went on in the foundation. And from that, all these other things flow from. There's evidence that some of the emails that we're dealing with in the Clinton email case really were about the foundation and the pay-to-play atmosphere that was there. I think that's going to become the story of 2018.
Is 2018 the year of the big boomerang, Sarah Carter?
Oh, yes, I believe so. And John's right on the money with that, and so is Peter. I think not only that, I think we're going to see an investigation into Huma Abedin. I think that Uranium One is going to be tied into this very intensely. I believe that we're going to see a lot more information come out of that investigation, and as well as the Clinton email server. So I think this is the big boomerang, Sean.
Do you agree, Peter? Last word.
I do, yeah. Sean, you and I have done this together for a while on corruption, and it's always about follow the money. And when you're talking about the large sums of money involving the Clintons, that's where you need to go. And I think they're right. The Clinton Foundation and the pay-to-play is going to be a central story of 2018.
All right, you three have been pivotal in exposing a lot of this corruption. I will say this. Stay tuned to this show. TikTok. Thank you all for being with us. Coming up, President Trump voicing his support for the protesters in Iran, finally. Also, the president announcing that he will give out the most dishonest and corrupt media awards. Sean Spicer, Michelle Malcolm, they'll join us later. And then next, is CNN really the most trusted name in news? They actually are, for potheads.